It is the middle of August, and you are standing on your own back porch with a plate of food in your hand, and you cannot even set it down, because the moment you do, 3 Yellowjackets land on your hand before you do. You wave your arm. They do not care. One of them follows you all the way to the screen door. And down along the fence near your tomatoes, there is a little hole in the ground you have learned to walk around because you found out the hard way what lives in it. So you go to the store and you buy the spray with the picture of the angry wasp on the can, and you soak that hole at noon, and for a few days you feel like you won, but they come back. They always come back. And worse than that, the same poison that was supposed to fix your yellow jacket problem just drifted across your garden and settled on the very flowers your honeybees were working. Now, my Amish neighbor Daniel taught me something years ago that changed all of this. You can clear every wasp off your property without a single drop of poison, and you can do it with a soda can and a splash of something already sitting in your kitchen. But stay with me all the way to the end, because the reason that soda can kill yellow jackets while a honeybee lands right beside it and flies away unharmed comes down to one thing you stir into it, and it works because of something honeybees do every single day that a yellow jacket never will. Now, before I show you a thing, let me tell you who is talking. I'm Bill, though most folks online know me as Backyard Bill. I have spent 30 years learning hard lessons on a little piece of land here in rural Ohio, and for too many of those years I fought my own garden with a rototiller and a shelf full of chemicals I could not even pronounce, and I lost. My greatest teachers live right across the fence in the Amish community I am blessed to call my neighbors. And most of what I'm about to share with you, I learned from my friend Daniel. For years, I treated my yard like a battlefield. Every summer, the Yellowjackets showed up, and every summer I spent good money at the hardware store trying to win a war I did not understand, and that right there was my whole mistake. I did not understand them. Daniel said something to me one afternoon that I have never forgotten. He said, "Bill, you are trying to kill a thing you have never once sat down and watched." And he was right. Let me tell you what that spray was really costing me. It cost me $40, $50 a summer, bought again and again. It killed a few wasps I could see, but never the nest I could not. And every time the wind shifted, it drifted onto my flower bed and onto the honeybees that were pollinating my whole garden for free. So I was paying money to kill my own workers, and the Yellowjackets came back anyway. The reason they came back is simple, and it is the very first thing Daniel taught me. A Yellowjacket is not one problem. It is two completely different problems wearing the same striped coat, depending on the time of year. Once you understand those two seasons, you stop fighting and you start setting one simple trap that does all the work while you sleep. I will come back to that be safe part I promised you, because that is the piece everybody gets wrong, but it only makes sense once you understand the calendar. Now, before we get into that calendar, I want to be straight with you about one thing. What I am showing you today is one method, but it is really just one layer of a whole system. My garden has 5 defense layers now, the way Daniel's always had, and every one of them works together so the garden defends itself. I wrote that whole system down in a book because it felt wrong to keep it behind one fence line. It is called the 30-Day Amish Pest-Proof Garden Protocol, and it is the complete old world system my neighbors taught me for building a garden that protects itself from pests without any chemicals, laid out as a simple 30-day plan that any home gardener can follow. It runs 117 pages, and right now it is $17, marked down from $47. Now think about that for a second. $17 one time against a shelf of sprays you buy again every single season. If you are done with that war, this book is the way out of it. Now go ahead and grab your phone and open up your cellular camera, the same one you use to take pictures. Point it at that square code on your screen and hold it steady for a second. A little link will pop up, give it a tap, and it will take you straight to the book. And if you are watching on your phone right now, the link is waiting for you right down below in the description. Take your time. There is no rush at all. I'll wait right here. All right, let me show you those 2 seasons because this is where it all starts to make sense. Here is the calendar, and it is the whole foundation, so I am going to go slow with it. A yellow jacket lives 2 different lives in one summer. In the spring and the early part of summer, that nest is full of hungry grubs, and the grown wasps are not after your soda at all. They are hunters. They are out looking for meat, for protein to carry back and feed those grubs. That is why in June you will see a yellow jacket land on the raw hamburger at your cookout and fly off with a little piece of it. She is not being rude. She is grocery shopping for the babies back home. Now hold on to that because it matters more than anything else I'm going to tell you today. Then late summer comes. By August and September, those grubs are all grown. The nest does not need meat anymore, and all those grown workers, thousands of them now, suddenly have nothing to do and a powerful craving for sugar. That is when they show up at your picnic, at your soda can, at the sweet pear rotting under the tree, and that is when they turn mean because the nest is dying and they seem to know it, and a hungry, dying colony is a desperate one. So write this down somewhere. Spring wasps want meat. Late summer wasps want sugar. That is not a small detail. That is the entire secret to trapping them because a trap only works if you bait it with what they actually want that week. And here is the part that should make you smile. A honeybee never once in her whole life goes out looking for meat. So already, before we have done one clever thing, the spring trap I'm about to show you cannot catch a honeybee even if she tried. Let me show you how to build it. This first trap is the one Daniel showed me for spring and early summer, and it is about as simple as a thing can get. You are going to need a bucket. A 5-gallon bucket works fine, or any old pail you have. Fill it about halfway with water. Now add a good squirt of plain dish soap, the same kind sitting at your kitchen sink, and give it a gentle stir. That soap is doing something important, and I will tell you why in just a moment, because the why is the whole trick. Next, you need a scrap of raw meat, a little piece of chicken, a bit of raw hamburger, a scrap of fish, or a spoon of wet cat food. Any of those will do. You do not need much. About the size of your thumb is plenty. Now take a length of string and tie that meat so it hangs down from a stick laid across the top of the bucket. You want that meat hanging just an inch or 2 above the water. And that is the whole trap. A stick across a soapy bucket with a bite of meat swinging above the water. Now watch what happens because it is a beautiful thing to see on your morning walk. The yellow jacket smells that meat from clear across the yard. She flies in, she lands, and she starts sawing off a chunk to carry home, but she takes too much. She gets heavy. And when a loaded yellow jacket drops off that meat, she drops straight down. Here is the why I promised you. In plain water, she would land on the surface, float there, and crawl right back out. But that little bit of dish soap breaks the skin of the water, what they call the surface tension, so there is nothing left for her to stand on. She sinks. She cannot climb out, and that is the quiet end of her, with no poison, no spray, and nothing drifting onto your flowers. Now, I want you to notice what this trap does not catch. It does not catch honeybees, because a honeybee does not want meat. It does not catch butterflies. It does not catch the ladybugs and the other good bugs that are quietly helping your garden along. It catches the meat hunters, and in spring, that is your yellow jackets and your wasps, almost only them. So set it out at the edge of your yard in May and June. Check it on your morning walk and take your time refreshing that meat every few days. There is no rush. The trap does does the work while you drink your coffee. Now, that meat trap is perfect for spring, but come August, the wasps stop caring about meat, remember, and they go looking for sugar instead. So you have to change your bait to match the season. And this is where that soda comes in, the one from the very start of this video. The sweet trap is just as simple. You take a plastic bottle, an old soda bottle or a milk jug works fine. You pour in a couple of inches of something sweet, and the easiest sweet thing most folks already have in the house is a can of regular cola, not the diet kind. It has to be the real sugar. Pour that cola into the bottle, and the sugar-hungry Yellowjackets of late summer will come from all over to get at it. They crawl in, and most of them cannot find their way back out, and they end up down in the liquid. This sweet trap catches wasps beautifully in the late season. But I have to be honest with you about a problem, and it is a serious one for anybody who cares about honeybees. In late summer, especially in a dry spell when the flowers have quit giving much nectar, a honeybee gets hungry too. And a hungry honeybee can smell that sugar from a good ways off. So a plain cola trap set out in the wrong spot at the wrong time can absolutely catch honeybees right along with the wasps. That is the exact thing we do not want. That is the thing that kept me nervous about sweet traps for years. So I asked Daniel about it, and he smiled the way he does when the answer is simpler than the question. He told me the sweet trap is fine. You just have to do two things to it. One is about where you put it, and the other, the important one, is the thing you add to that cola. The one thing that makes a honeybee turn around at the door while the Yellowjacket walks right in. Hold that thought, because it is the whole reason this works. And I promise it is not what you would guess. Let me handle the where first, because it matters more than people think. Where you set a trap decides whether it helps your garden or hurts it. And a lot of good folks get this exactly backward. They see wasps at the picnic table, so they set the trap right on the picnic table. Now they have baited a spot full of wasps right where the family is sitting. That is not what we are after. Daniel taught me the opposite. You do not set the trap where you are. You set the trap where you are not. You want to pull the wasps away from the garden, away from the porch, and away from any beehives out toward the edge of your property. So I set my traps 10 to 20 feet out from the garden, along the fence line, near the tree line. That is 10 to 20 feet away, not right in the thick of things, far enough that the wasps get drawn out to the edge and leave the tomatoes and the people and the bees alone. And here is another reason that perimeter matters for your honeybees. Your bees are working your flowers and your garden enclosed. If your traps are way out at the fence, 20 feet from the flower bed, you have put good distance between the trap and where the bees are busy. You are pulling the wasps one direction and letting the bees work the other. Set it, walk away, and check it on your morning walk. That is the whole placement rule. Traps at the edge, never in the middle. Now, traps will clear out the wasps that are flying and foraging, but sometimes you have a nest right in your yard down in the ground and you want that whole colony gone. A great many Yellowjackets nest in the ground in an old mouse hole at the base of a fence post or under a shrub. You will see them going in and out of one small hole in the dirt all day long. And I know the temptation is to march out there at noon with a can of spray. Please do not do that. Noontime is when that nest is wide awake and half of them are out flying. And that is exactly how people get stung. Here is the old way, and the timing is everything, so listen close. You wait until dusk or even full dark. You do this after the sun is down. There are two reasons, and both matter. First, at dusk, every single wasp is home inside the nest. Nobody is out flying, so when you treat it, you get the whole colony, not just a few that happen to be home. Second, Yellowjackets go cold and slow and sluggish in the dark. They cannot fly well when the air has cooled. So the danger to value is at its very lowest right then. Now, back in the daytime, before it gets dark, do this one bit of homework. Walk out and find the exact hole. Look carefully at where it sits. Notice a clear, open path for yourself to walk away quickly afterward. Then leave it be until dark. When it is dark, here is what you do. And I want you to do one thing at a time. Boil up a big kettle of water, at least a gallon of it. Take it off the heat and stir it in a good half cup of dish soap gently so it does not foam over the top. That soapy water is your whole weapon, and that is all it is. Walk out to the hole with a flashlight, but set the light off to one side on the ground, not in your hand, because a wasp will fly toward a light if any happen to stir. Pour that whole gallon of hot soapy water straight down into the hole in one steady pour. Then step back and walk your clear path away. Do not stand there and watch. Just walk away, calm and easy. The soap coats them so they cannot fly, and the hot water does the rest down inside the nest where a spray never even reaches. By morning on your walk, that hole will be quiet. If you still see a little activity the next night, and sometimes with the big nest you will, you simply do it again the following evening. 1 gallon of hot soapy water poured after dark. No poison in your soil, and nothing drifting onto a single flower. That is how the old timers did it long before there was ever a spray aisle. And before we get to the last piece, let me save you from 2 mistakes I made myself. Do not ever try to seal that hole shut with dirt or a rock. A trapped colony will simply dig itself a new exit, sometimes right into your foundation or your wall, and now you have a far bigger problem. And please, I am asking you as a friend, never pour gasoline or kerosene down a nest. I know the old stories about it, but it poisons your soil for years. It is a real fire danger, and the soapy water works just as well without one bit of that risk. The old way was never about being harsh. It was about being smart and gentle and letting simple things do the work. Water, soap, timing, and patience. That is the whole toolbox. And now we are finally here. This is the thing I promised you all the way back at the start. Remember that sweet cola trap, the one that works wonders on late summer wasps but can also catch a hungry honey bee? Here is how you make that trap deadly to the Yellowjackets and completely safe for the bees. It is one ingredient, and it is likely in your cupboard right now. It is apple cider vinegar. You take that bottle with the cola in it, and you add a good splash of apple cider vinegar, a couple of tablespoons for a small trap, a little more for a big one. Give it a stir. That is it. That is the whole secret. And now let me tell you why it works, because the why is the part that made me sit down when Daniel first explained it. It comes down to the difference between what a honeybee is and what a yellowjacket is. A honeybee is a flower creature. Her whole life is spent going from blossom to blossom, drinking clean, fresh nectar. Her senses are tuned to sweet and to fresh. And that sour, sharp, fermented smell of vinegar to a honeybee is the smell of something spoiled, something gone wrong, something a flower would never in the world smell like. So she comes to the mouth of that trap, she catches that sour vinegar smell, and she turns right back around and leaves. Her own good instincts pull her away from it. She simply will not go in. Now the yellowjacket is not a flower creature at all. A yellowjacket is a scavenger. She is built to find rotting fruit and fermenting sap, and the sour and the spoiled and the fallen, that is her grocery store. So when she catches that same vinegar smell that repelled the bee, it does the exact opposite to her. It smells like supper. It pulls her in even harder than the cola alone ever would. The very smell that says stay away to a honeybee says come and get it to a yellowjacket. So think about what you have built. One little bottle sitting 20 feet out on the fence line with cola and a splash of vinegar in it. To a honeybee, it is a bad smell she avoids. To a yellow jacket, it is a feast she cannot resist. The same trap at the same moment reads as two completely opposite things to two completely different insects. That is not a clever trick I invented. That is just knowing your bugs the way my neighbors have always known them. And Daniel put it better than I ever could. He said, you do not have to be smarter than the wasp. You just have to know her better than she knows herself. Now, I will say this plainly because these are your honeybees and mine. I've never once found a honeybee in a vinegar trap set out at my fence line, but nature is nature. So always set these traps well away from your hives and your flower beds, and always check them on your morning walk. Care costs you nothing, and it is the whole spirit of the thing. And that right there is the heart of what Daniel taught me. It is not about fighting nature. It is about knowing it well enough to work with it. This one trap is a single layer. The book is the whole 30 days of it, layer by layer, so your whole garden can start defending itself this season without you standing guard over it with the spray can in your hand. It is the 30-day Amish Pest-Proof Garden Protocol, still $17 today instead of $47, and it will outlast every bottle of poison you would have bought this summer, and the next one and the one after that. Now go ahead and grab your phone and open up your camera, the same one you used to take pictures. Point it at that square code on your screen and hold it steady for a second. A little link will pop up, give it a tap, and it will take you straight to the book. And if you are watching on your phone right now, the link is waiting for you right down below in the description. Take your time. There is no rush at all. I'll wait right here. So let me gather it all back up for you. Quick and simple. In spring, hang a thumb-sized scrap of meat over a bucket of soapy water. In late summer, set out real sugar cola with a splash of apple cider vinegar. And any ground nest you treat after dark with a gallon of hot soapy water. All of it out at the fence line. All of it safe for your bees, and not one drop of poison anywhere in your garden. Now, I want to hear from you. Tell me in the comments which pest is winning in your garden right now and what you have thrown at it so far. I read every single one, and come back next time because I'm going to show you the one border flower Daniel plants along the edge of every bed, the one that pulls the aphids off your vegetables and onto itself so your plants stay clean without you lifting a finger. You're going to want to see that one before spring. Work with nature, not against it, and I'll see you in the garden.